Next, from the state capitol, we talk with some of the leading lawmakers behind the changes in the pension reform bill that passed the legislature on December 3rd. We first hear from the House Pension Committee Chairwoman, Representative Elaine Nekritz. We then talk with Senator Dan Biss and Representative Ron Sandack. This runs about 7 minutes.
So what are your thoughts on the passage?
Well, I think this is a very significant day for Illinois and being able to address our fiscal crisis. I mean, it's not a day, I think, necessarily for celebrating, because this is a hard day for those who had a certain expectation for their retirement, and we've now impacted that. But in terms of achieving the balance that I think we needed to get to between for retirement security and the affordability of the pension systems, this is a very significant step.
You heard a number of colleagues say it's not enough. The Wall Street Journal wrote an editorial saying it's not a half effort, it's a quarter effort. I think they said quarter baked. What would you say to those who said, we still left too much money on the table, this is still too rich a plan?
Well, I would say to those folks that we know from the numbers that we are going to be bringing down the percentage of our tax dollars that we're devoting to the pension system, and that's always been the policy goal. I understand that there'd be some that would want to bring that down more, but to those folks I would say, then come out and get votes on a bill. We had to get votes on a bill, we did it, and we simultaneously accomplished the policy goal that we wanted to achieve.
Dan Biss and Ron Sandack, thanks for joining us as we are here just right after the vote. Dan Biss, you were clearly early on involved in this effort. What are your thoughts?
Oh, it's an important day for Illinois. It's a really important day. This is a very, very significant step. It's a good compromise, and it was a real cooperative effort. It was bipartisan, it was bicameral. The leaders who had moments of very real acrimony got together. If we address more problems like this, we'd be in better shape as a state. And I think it's a day that will go down as a frustrating and sad but important one for Illinois.
And Ron in the House, Ron Sandack, you voted for it, but it seemed that, like probably a lot of people, you were a little bit on the fence, maybe torn. At what point did you decide that you would support this bill, and why did you?
I really wasn't torn, Terry. I thought it wasn't what I would want, one person, but I recognized that it was the product of considerable negotiation, and getting something done in this state under these circumstances is an imperfect endeavor. And so I think it really is a combination of the best efforts of a good group of well-meaning people, and to me, at the end of the day, to do nothing would have been a dereliction of duty. I think it's a very significant first step to my mind, and I agree with Daniel that it would be really great if we could kind of come together on some of these bigger topics and work in that kind of fashion and form.
There was a comment by a number of people that this wasn't enough. Dan, you and I had talked before about the danger of maybe doing a bill that wasn't going to go far enough, not have enough savings. Do you think this achieves enough savings to take care of the problem, or is it something that's going to have to be readdressed?
Well, this achieves enough savings to really change the state's fiscal picture. It doesn't solve it by itself, and I would argue it shouldn't. There's a lot of other work that needs to be done in a variety of different reforms, and that's important. We've got to keep fighting on those fronts. But this is a very big change to the state's fiscal picture, and it's going to be a change to the state pension fund's fiscal situation as well, and that's why I was very, very comfortable with this as a compromise solution.
There was the issue, let's say that it's debatable how much is going to be saved in the first year. The guess is somewhere between $1 to $2 billion. The question was, though, on the debate in the House on maintaining fiscal discipline, which Representative David Harris said the state has never done, the legislature has never done. What do you think is going to happen? Is there a different attitude within this legislative body now that we really have to tote the line, or do you think this $1 billion is just going to become one more pile of money to spend on other projects?
Fiscal discipline is always hard, but today was an example of fiscal discipline. So I think we just need to use this as a springboard and continue to be very vigilant and very, very tough as we look at our budget going forward. And it's not a slam dunk. We're going to have to work hard. But to me, to say we can't do anything right later and therefore we shouldn't try to do something right today doesn't make an awful lot of sense.
And Ron, your thoughts?
Oh, I think that logic that Daniel just displayed is perfectly correct. I mean, look, I don't have a ton of confidence looking in the rearview mirror of how and why we got here. But just to say I don't have any faith because of what's gone on in the past, again, is a dereliction of duty. We have the obligation and the responsibility to handle the problem and meet it. And I think today we met it. Is it over? Is the pension crisis over? It's ameliorated, arguably, and it will be continually addressed. I have no, full faith and confidence that the good people that were championing this bill will continue to look to ways to fortify and sustain that system. And now we can turn our attention to the rest of the fiscal calculus that the state needs to take care of. So I agree, you can't fix Illinois' fiscal future without making meaningful pension reform part of the calculus, and we started that process, and there's more to do.
You're watching the Illinois Channel, an independent nonprofit corporation formed to provide gavel-to-gavel coverage of Illinois state government and other public affairs events taking place across Illinois.